Compared to what we were seeing in spring 2021 and early 2022, selling conditions have cooled down. And that means that homes are taking longer to sell than they used to. In the past year, the median time to sell a home across Australia has been about 45 days. That's increased from what we were seeing a year ago. At that time, homes were typically selling in just 37 days. That's more than a week faster than what we're seeing at the moment. Now, that's looking at every sale over the past year. If we just look at sales in April, so in the most recent month, it's been more like 51 days. And while that gives us a more timely reflection of market conditions and does suggest that the time it takes to sell a home has increased more recently, a single month worth of data can be very volatile and very seasonal. For instance, the time it takes to sell a home increases a lot in January as homes take longer to sell with everyone on Christmas break. So while the time to sell a home has increased compared to a year ago, 45 days is still pretty quick compared to recent history. For instance, prior to the pandemic in 2019, homes were typically taking about 65 days to sell. That's nearly 3 weeks longer than what we're seeing at the moment. This increase in selling times has looked pretty similar across Australia, although there has been a slightly larger increase in regional areas than in capital cities. That said, it's worth pointing out that historically, homes do take longer to sell regionally than they do in capital cities. Of particular note is Tasmania. In the past year, the increase in the time it takes to sell a home has been particularly sharp, both in Hobart and in regional Tasmania. In the past year, a home in Tassie has been taking about 30 days to sell, and that's an increase of 3 weeks compared to what we were seeing a year ago, when property was flying off the shelves right across Tasmania. To put that in context, last year, homes in Hobart were selling in an eye-watering 10 days. And remember that the definition of a median means that half of homes were selling even faster than that. Tassie was a popular pandemic destination, and that meant there were just very few homes available for sale for buyers to choose from. Looking ahead, we've seen an increase in the total number of properties listed for sale over the past year or so, particularly in some regional areas. That means that buyers have a bit more choice than they used to, and as a result, we'd probably expect to see homes take a bit longer to sell because conditions just aren't as competitive as they were. But an awful lot will depend on what happens to interest rates from here, and consequently, what happens to buyer demand.